What were sort of the standout elements for this period?
First of all, thank you for having me. And I think leading on insurance makes a lot of sense just because it was definitely very weak this quarter, and that's a result of a few things. Firstly, obviously, was Hurricane Ian and other related catastrophe events. Berkshire actually took less of a hit on the hurricane than people were expecting, but it still was a very tough quarter for underwriting, similar to Q3 of last year, right, when we saw similar effects from Hurricane Ida. And the other thing is that auto underwriting is really, really, really difficult right now, kind of across the sector, across peer groups. You're seeing them really struggle to sort of turn any kind of profit. Geico hasn't been profitable since, I believe, Q2 of last year. But then looking at kind of operating earnings, and that's including the insurance business, but also various other aspects of, the kind of business empire over there at Berkshire Hathaway, those numbers are pretty solid. Earnings were down at the railroad, but for other businesses and for some of their investments, those performed decently well, and they were able to record an operating earnings gain of about 20% compared with the same time last year. So essentially the way I think about this quarter is, while insurance was weak, much of the company is kind of doing what it's supposed to do and then trying to navigate this really high inflation environment.
So given Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's, strategy, theory of investing, when you look at this result, when you look at how the portfolio looks now, when you see where the stock market is in its a cycle, no one knows if it's reached the bottom yet or not, what do you expect to see, if anything, in terms of changes in the way their investments are arranged right now?
That's a great question. I would say that the big thing about Berkshire is that it perhaps hasn't been as active in the market as people expected through the pandemic, with the big exception being Q1 of this year, when they spent about $42 billion on acquisitions. Looking at and we'll have more visibility into this once their 13F comes out in about a week or so. But so they obviously increased their holdings of Occidental Petroleum. They're a really big fan of that company, really big fan of that name, leading to some speculation that they may be interested in buying it outright. But then separately, there's not really a lot to say about the equity strategy this quarter. They were a net buyer by about $3.7 billion, which is about, kind of not super crazy, not a crazy figure, not a crazy change, that sort of thing.